Now we've got the front piece. It might look a bit odd, but trust the process. It will all come together beautifully. Make sure to mark armhole notches and the neckline notch. Then mark these pleat marking lines for the skirt pleats, and these 2 pleat markings for the bodice, and a little helper notch. On the right side of fabric, match these 2 lines to create a pleat, and pin the layers together. Make sure the pleat is pointing to the center front. Now we are ready to complete our first zigzag-looking pleat. So, let's break it down slowly. Look at this outer corner here. We're going to bring this side over to meet this opposite side. By matching them together, the fabric will naturally form a fold. Next, fold the top layer back so the pleat layers stack neatly on top of each other. Take a moment to check that everything is aligned. Here, you can see how the layers now line up to form the pleat. Now let's pin the pleat layers together. Use at least 2 pins for each pleat to keep them aligned. We're now moving on to the next pleat, and the good news is, the steps are exactly the same. Start by matching the 2 sides together, then fold the pleat back so the layers sit neatly on top of each other. Take a moment to check that the edges are aligned. Then pin it in place again. At least 2 pins will help keep it secure. And here we are at the last pleat. We're going to fold it the same way we've done with all the previous ones. Match the sides, fold it back, and line up the layers. All of our bodice pleats are now finished. There are 4 pleats in total. Take a look along the edge. Instead of that zigzag shape, you should see a nice, smooth, straight line. You can also compare the length of the waistband tail edge with the pleated bodice edge. They will match. Let's secure the pleats together with a sewing machine using a regular straight stitch. Stitch at 7 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. This is our side panel, right side up. We have 3 pleats on this panel and 1 marking to an extra pleat that will come together later. We start by matching lines together to create the pleats, starting from the pleat closest to the side seam. Use at least 2 pins to secure each pleat. Let's secure the pleats together with a sewing machine using a regular straight stitch. Stitch at 7 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. This is our front bodice, and now we're going to attach the side panel. As you can see, the side panel is slightly longer than the bodice. Before attaching the side panel, we need to finish the shorter bottom edge first, but not all the way, just a few inches. Just fold it under for a hem and secure it with a basting stitch. I'm folding the edge twice for a total of 32 millimeters, or about 1¼ inches. Here, I'm hand basting the fold, but you could also use a machine stitch if you prefer. With right sides together, match the side panel to the bodice. Line up the notches carefully and make sure the top edges are aligned before pinning everything in place. Now stitch the seam at 7 millimeters or 1/4 inch. You can use your overlocker or a simple straight stitch on your sewing machine. If you're using a sewing machine, don't forget to overcast the seam. I finished this seam with my overlocker, and now it's time to press it. Use a steam iron to press the seam allowance towards the side panel. A good press here will help the seam sit flat and look neat. On the longer side of the panel, turn the seam allowance under so that it follows the seam line. This will give you a clean finish and keep the edge tucked away as we top stitch. This is the side panel, and we are going to be stitching through the panel and the seam allowance. Use a regular straight stitch for this step and stitch at around 4 to 5 millimeters or 1/8 inch. Continue top stitching all the way down to the longer end of the panel. This secures the seam and also makes sure the raw edge is turned under and stitched in place. Now it's time to finish our last pleat. Match the pleat markings together, making sure the fold is facing towards the bodice. Use at least 2 pins to secure the pleat so it doesn't shift while sewing. Once everything is aligned and pinned, stitch across with a regular straight stitch to hold the pleat in place. This is our final step for constructing the bodice. In this step, we are joining all the edges together. First, start by matching the waistband with the wrong sides together, like this. Now, we are going to sandwich the waistband between the top and bottom of the bodice. Match the folded waistband with the bottom of the bodice, right sides together, and also with the top of the bodice, right sides together. Here you can see how the waistband is sandwiched between the 2 layers, so we can join all the edges in one seam. Start at the side seam, match the edges together, and pin. Make sure the pleats are aligned. They should match on both the top and bottom bodice. When you reach the end of the waistband tail, simply pin the edges together. Here are all the layers pinned together. We're going to stitch from the side seam to the end of the waistband. Before sewing, do a quick final check. Flip the bodice to the right side and see if it looks correct. It looks great. Now we can go to the sewing machine or overlocker to finish the seam. Just keep in mind that this seam may feel a little bulky. Let's finish this seam at 7 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch. If your layers feel too thick, I recommend using a sewing machine and stitching very slowly. For example, I'm working with lightweight ponte, and I'm using a sewing machine because my overlocker wouldn't handle this many layers. This is our waistband at the pleated end. Start by matching the center of the waistband with the side seam. Then flatten the waistband and align its sides carefully along the seam. Once everything is in place, pin the layers together. Secure the waistband to the side seam with a regular straight stitch, sewing at 7 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch. We've now completed the front of the bodice. I hope this step was easy for you to follow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos.